And now the voice of Lehigh University Wrestling for 18 consecutive seasons, Larry Sheridan. On the mat, Mark Pustelnik, 16-10, a freshman from East Moline, Illinois. And for Lehigh, Rick Hartman from Lakewood, Ohio. Larry?
Fine. I just, as you said, when we did the pit meet, Pitt had weighed in about 15 contenders and introduced everybody out of the 10 wrestlers. And Northern Iowa Panthers are doing the same thing. And we have to figure out who's who out there. And the announcer, public address, said it was Mark Pustelnik. And Lehigh, weighing in one man at each weight class, that's Rick Hartman. Hartman near the edge of the mat. He crosses. Referee, there's Lehigh coach.
Lehigh coach Thad Turner, graduate of Lehigh in the class of '61 in his 17th season here.
He's about tied Jerry Lehman. I think Lehman coached 17 years, so they're both. Hartman in.
Well, Larry, I think there's got to be something wrong with that. If he's in the class of '61, he couldn't. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. My goodness, that would have to be 27 seasons, and Thad's not that old. 17 season for Thad Turner.
Lehigh's Hartman, sophomore out of Ohio, leading at the moment 2-0, 1:41 remaining in the first period. For those of you new, collegiate wrestling at this time of the year, the first period is at 3 minutes in length. The second and third periods are each 2 minutes long. Pustelnik is a freshman majoring in health education out of East Moline. He was a two-time state champion from Illinois.
A minute and 10 to go in the first period. A 2-0 lead for Pustelnik over Hartman. I'm sorry, Hartman has the lead by 2-0. Let's, Larry, take a look at the takedown for the first two.
He works off the wrist and ducks under. You could just gets underneath in time. As you saw, he had him by the right wrist. That's something that you got to have, and you can't see it because the wrist was hidden, but he had control of the wrist. At this time, there's escape there for Pustelnik. And immediately Hartman comes back in on a single, but Pustelnik's breaking purchasing power, and now gets the takedown, leads 4-1. And Lehigh's the 2 takedowns so far this bout.
Hartman has been a slow starter in many of his bouts, so he's off to his best start in a while. As they go off the mat, Larry will look at that second takedown now by Hartman.
Okay, now this time he's in just on that single. Countered so far, but he's just really working control. Pustelnik had the idea of maybe a standing cradle, but he didn't manage to effect it.
Half a minute to go in the period. We're at 118 pounds, Lehigh and Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa ranked 6th in the country at the moment. Lehigh University unranked. The brown and white won their first 2 of the season and have since dropped 5 in a row. And as Larry mentioned, very thin at many of the weights. And coming off a loss against Pittsburgh that they would prefer to forget. The Engineers did not win a bout on the mat, although they did manage 2 ties and a default at heavyweight. Period ends 4-1 in favor of Hartman of Lehigh over Mark Pustelnik of Northern Iowa.
Refers to you. Offense, you want?
Down.
You want bottom position.
Hartman from Lakewood, Ohio.
Okay, the choice was Mark Pustelnik's, and he elected to take the bottom. Again, you saw the pre-meet ceremony where they toss a coin. Really doesn't mean much anymore. In the old days when you had 9 bouts, it meant something. You had the choice in 5 and the other people had 4, the other team. But today you have 10 bouts, so you each get your choice. Now it does mean something if you have a default, or a forfeit rather, and you know you're forfeited 1 weight class, then don't take the choice in that particular bout. So there's where the advantages of it. Then you get that choice. There's a stalling.
2-on-1 parallel.
First one installing Hartman.
Stalling against Lehigh, riding parallel as explained.
Don Briggs, Iowa class of '71, coaching the Panthers. He's in his 5th season. His record 58-29 lifetime. He's assisted by Jim Miller and John Krebs.
Hartman still riding the top. Still working on the wrist. Going behind, maintaining control. Slips in a single leg now. Change off that parallel position.
Bottom
Coach.
man, you're just holding on his arm now. Let's go on the bottom.
So now we have stalling on the bottom. And if you note, they didn't stop the meet, stop the bout. Stalling on the bottom. So both wrestlers have now been warned for stalling. There's 55 seconds left in the second period. Hartman of Lehigh now has 3 minutes time advantage and a 4-1 lead.
This is the 5th time that Lehigh and the Panthers have met. Northern Iowa has won on each occasion. Series started back in 1975. And Northern Iowa has won 23-18, 23-22, 33-13.
Hartman is,
and 21-15.
Hartman's still maintaining control, but they got to get some action out there. Somebody's going to get nailed for stalling. They're both parallel, and Hartman's basic responsibility is to initiate something and drops in a leg, but I don't think that's impressing the referee. And
riding time now working up close to 4 minutes with 10 seconds to go here in the second period. Hartman leading by a score of 4-1.
6 seconds left in the period, and this second period will end up 4-1 with Hartman of Lehigh the leader.
Third period coming up.
Lehigh.
Northern Iowa comes here tonight from Hampton, Virginia. They turned in a very strong performance. They placed 3rd in the Virginia duels.
Okay,
They were ranked 12th in the National Wrestling Association poll and 14 in the Amateur Wrestling News and 20 in the National Mat News going into that tournament. And they won 5 out of 6 in the Virginia tournament, losing only to Penn State. 28-12.
Escape for Lehigh's Hartman. He now has a 4-point lead and has a guaranteed point for time. So he can start Lehigh off in a much better position than they were against Pitt when they were down 12-0. He get him ahead with a takedown. Hartman in high school, when he wrestled St. Ignatius High School in Lakewood, Ohio, was 2-time state champion at 98 and 119.
Minute and 25 to go. 5-1 lead for Hartman of Lehigh in the brown. Northern Iowa in their traditional purple and gold.
University of Northern Iowa is out of Cedar Falls, Iowa. Enrollment about 11,000 students. Their nickname I've mentioned earlier is the Panthers. There's an escape. Now 6-1 the score. Stalling against Iowa, 6-1. So with 1 minute left, Hartman has a 5-point lead on the board plus time, so he's got a 6-point lead at this time.
Hartman would try to convert something here if he could to perhaps pick up a major decision, but he does not have enough points on the board to do that even with the riding time at the moment. 40 seconds to go in the period.
I get an excellent trivia question, Shell, and I'll bring it out. We have a stalemate. I'll bring it out in the next bout. You'll love it.
I always love your questions.
Guaranteed to send all the record mongers out to the closet. Pustelnik trying to come around the back, but countered so far. Neither wrestler really shooting the works as Hartman tries to slide out the side.
Escape now to Pustelnik, making it 6-2 with 10 seconds to go.
Stalling against Iowa again. It's now 7-1 on the board, and you see the time. And Hartman will end up the victor, 8-1.
So Hartman of Lehigh wins at 118 pounds, and Pustelnik, of course, is just a freshman for the Panthers. He was 16-10, moves his record now to 16-11, and Lehigh leads Northern Iowa at the end of 118.
Shake hands, gentlemen.
By a score of 8-1 in the team score and 3-0 at the moment in the bout.